Hello everyone. So today we will solve the third problem of the contest Spectral Cup 2026 round 2. This is Codeforces round 1100. All right. So let's read the problem statement. Before reading the problem statement, we have started a Discord channel. If you are interested in competitive programming, you can definitely join that. I will be dropping the link in the description or the comment wherever it would be possible, right? Okay, so this is an easy version. Let's read the problem statement. This is easy version of the problem. Difference is that in this version you need to minimize the sum, right? You can only hack an of if you have done all the version of the problem, right? Let's read the problem statement now. The problem says that you are given an array n which consists of non-zero but possibly negative integers. You will perform the following operation at most n times, possibly none. You need to select an index I such that ai is greater than 0. That means you can select a positive integer at every instance. Then for each j, where j is greater than 1 and j is less than I, you can do a of j is equal to minus or a of j. Means wherever the values are, if you get a positive number, you can convert all the elements which are previous to it into minus. You can multiply it by minus 1, right? You need to output a valid sequence of operation of length at most n, which minimizes the sum of a at the end. Okay, so if you look at the time constraints, n is till 2e5, right? And k, you need to print the size of k, that is the number of operations you require, and the value, whatever the value index you need to choose, right? So the sum, after you apply these operations, the sum should be minimal, right? So let's take a test case. Let's take the second test case, right? Really sorry, the second test case is -1 -2 3 -5 4. Okay, so -1 -2 3 -5 and -4, right? Okay, so let's see what can be the operations and how can we get the minimum sum, right? So the operations are as follow, that first you will take this element and convert every element beside this, right? So every elements beside this will become 1 2 -3 -5 and -4, right? After this, is the problems correct? No, the last element is 4, right? So let's make it 4. Yeah, so now you will take this 4 and convert all the elements before this, including this index, till the 0th index, and convert every element into negative of that. So it becomes -1 -2 3 5 and -4, right? Now what can you do? Now you can pick this 5 and convert all the elements previous to it with -1, that is 1 2 -3 -5 and -4. After this, you can take this 2 and convert all elements before that. So it becomes -1 -2 -3 -5 and -4, right? And ultimately all elements are negative, so the sum will also be minimized. All right, so you need to print the number of operations which you took, right? The indices which will be there, right? So if you look at these, first we picked up this elements. Let call it 1 2 3 4 and 5. So first you picked up 3, so answer will be something like 3. Then you went to last index 5. Then you came back to um, most probably this index, which is 2. Then you okay, did we miss something? First we picked up this 3, third index, then we went to 5, then picked this index, then we went to 5. So 3 5 4 2, right? This is the correct sequence. 3 5, this is the fourth sequence which you took, right? So 3 5 4 2. So if you look at the answer, this is the possible answer. Yeah, so we need to print this, right? So I hope the problem statement is clear, and if you look at the sum, all elements are negative, so there is not a possibility that you could decrease the sum more than that, right? So this is a possible answer for us, right? All right, so let me first give you a claim and then I will prove it as well. But as of now, hear me when I say it. The first claim which I have is I can convert every element into negative number, right, into less than 0, right? And this is true for every case, right? Even if you took the last case like 5, 7, 10, 19, whatever the positive values are, let's say 2, 3, 4, 5, these are the four positive values, right? If I do an operation on this index, this will convert all my prior index into a -1, so it will become -2, -3, -4, and -5, right? So my claim is we can convert every element into a negative element, but the operations will be in a different way, right? Now when you hear this, you will say like, what do you mean by that, right? Okay, now when I say I can convert every element into a negative element, what do I mean by that and how is it possible? See, whenever, let's say I have few elements, I have few positive elements, right? This is a purely constructive problem, right? So you need to be a bit thoughtful in a way that how can the solution work for you, right? So let's say you had multiple positive numbers and then you had a negative number, right? Then let's say you had multiple negative numbers. Let's take test case one by one so that I can prove to you, right, that this is a possibility, right? So whenever some positive, few positive plus comes and then few negative comes, then you can say, okay, I can pick up this one plus, convert this plus into minus, and prior element becomes minus. So you can see all elements in one go will be converted into all negative numbers, right? Okay, what would have happened if we had consecutive minus initially, then consecutive plus, right? Now what my claim is, take this index and prior to this convert every element into negative. So what would have happened, this would become plus, 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 minus, 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 right? And after this you can pick this element and this becomes a type 1, right? Let's call it type 1, right? So and this as a type 2, right? So now type 2 has been converted into type 1, right? So now you can convert all this plus into minus and you don't take this and you are done, right? So again every element has been converted to minus, right? But now how would you do for a mix of that beast? Have you any answer to this? Yeah, I do have an answer. Let's take first plus plus minus minus plus plus minus minus, right? And now let's think how can we proceed with it, right? So let's say you got a plus, right? So whenever you are having a plus, take the last plus which you have, right? Means in a bunch, whenever you are having plus, take the last plus and try to convert that plus into minus. Let's see. My first claim to you is, first step should be, if you are having a bunch of positive numbers, right? Take the last index, right? You need to be just thoughtful of the last index. You might be thinking, how will it work? Show us. Okay, so you had multiple positives. I am saying, take up this index and convert it. You will say, okay, it becomes minus 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 plus plus minus minus. This is step 1, right? Let's change the color. Let's take green. All right, so next is, again, take a bunch. The first step is take a bunch of positive numbers, or bunch or a single element is there, still it is considered as a bunch, right? So now what I'm trying to say is, if you have a positive number, convert that positive number, take the bunch, right? After taking the bunch, convert the positive number to minus. So how would it look like? It would be, I will be taking up this index and converting all the prior indexes to minus, right? So this would become plus 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 minus 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 minus, right? Now if you look at it, the problem has changed. Now you have a bunch of positive numbers on the left side, right? And now how would you deal with it? You will simply pick up this positive number, and if you look closely, this is of type 1, right? So if this is of type 1, then this could be easily solved by simply picking up the last index, the last plus, and it would become minus 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 and minus 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 minus. How beautifully have we derived a point where if we had a mashup of plus minus any typical way, still we could reach to a point where every element is minus, right? But how will you find the index, beast? That's a problem statement, right? We will. First you understood, na? First you understood this point. Tell me yes or no that we need to take the positive numbers and that positive index which is at the last of a bunch or a group, right? Even if it's one, take that element, right? So first claim is clear, right? Now, if you look closely to the solution, right, or to the pattern which we are having, after taking the first or after taking the positive elements, some negative elements might have converted into a positive element, right? And that is where you need to take advantage of it. What do I mean by that? Okay, let's take this test case only, plus plus double minus plus plus double minus, right? So my claim was plus plus double minus and double plus and double minus, right? This was the case which we were working on. So when we converted this plus, somehow, let me mark it, this minus also got converted into a plus, right? Now think of this. If you could somehow think that which minus would have been converted, wouldn't that be great, right? Now you tell me, if you are knowing that okay, अगर मेरे माइनस के बाद एक प्लस है, राइट, मीन्स इफ एट एनी गिवन इंडेक्स आई हैव अ पॉजिटिव नंबर आफ्टर दैट, then I know for sure that I will be using that positive any given day. Are you getting it? Let's say I had minus minus plus plus, right? Then I'm pretty sure that if I after minus I do get a plus, then I'm sure that this plus will be converted into minus, and this bloody plus will also convert me, my minus will be converted into a plus because of this positive number. Are you getting it? Or should I repeat this? Let me repeat it once if you don't get it. Let's say I had minus minus plus plus was there, right? Let's think of this positive number. What would this positive number impact on these negative numbers? This positive number would impact this into a minus converted into a plus. Are you getting it? So, whenever in your array, after you get a positive number, after, when you get a negative number, and you see, okay, after this we are having a negative number. All right. So really sorry for this. What I would say, I had recorded the full video. As you can see, we have all the text written after this. Really sorry for breaking your flow. I will be continuing from this current step, which was plus plus minus minus plus plus. I have written all those things, and my video wasn't recording anyways. Anyways, what we were talking about is I saw it again and I understood that the place where we left was if we had a plus plus minus minus plus plus, right? We were discussing about this, right? Now let's discuss about this thing clearly, right? So what I was claiming was something like this, that if I have a minus, right, and after this minus if we get a plus, right, if we get plus multiple plus, so what I am claiming is for this plus, think of this, this plus will somehow affect this minus, right, and this minus would be converted into a plus, right? So in future I'm pretty sure, because the initially claim was that we can convert all element into a negative element, right? Now we are saying that some minus which were earlier has been converted into a plus, right? Then that means this plus should also be converted into a minus, right? Because you can't leave it at this place. So you also need to make sure that the plus which you got should be converted to minus. Are you getting it? Let's say this was my plus, right? And this plus, what did this plus do? This plus converted this plus to minus, this minus to plus. Now you have a plus which was not initially in your array, right? While you were traversing from left to right, you definitely have missed that part, right? Missed this minus, which in future was converted to a positive number by this plus, right? So what I'm claiming is, in future, plus will convert the left side minuses, right? So how do you take care of that thing? The problem is that, right? Now let's say if we had minus minus, let's say plus plus, right? Now I have given you the first claim that you need to convert this plus into a minus, right? So this plus would be this plus would be converted, so this plus would convert the array into something like plus plus minus minus, right? Now my second claim comes here. My second claim is, if you had a minus, right? If you anyways, any given day, if you receive a minus, and after that minus if you get a plus, right? Then you need to store the index of last minus. What is last minus? Last minus is, that is, माइनस के बाद अगर मेरे पास प्लस है ना, तो मैं इस माइनस को स्टोर कर लूंगा. वाई? बिकॉज just by traversing on this minus, right, this minus gets converted to plus. So what I'm saying is, after you have traversed on all the positive numbers, now traverse on the bunch of negative numbers which you had, and for the bunch of negative numbers, store the last minus of a bunch of a group, right? So this is a group, right? So this group, you will say, okay, I will store this minus index, right? And this minus index, how will this work out for you? Let's say this was converted into a plus plus minus minus, as you saw, and after that you can say, okay, this plus will, I will take this plus because this was my last minus index initially, right? You will not work on the change array, you will work on the initial array, initial values, right? So then you will say, okay, this was supposed to be this was initially a minus, right? And the last minus of the group, right? See, this is the last minus of the group, right? So you will say, all right, I will take this index and put it my answer. And how will it work? This plus will convert all elements to the left, and it will be converted into minus. See, so minus 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 minus, all elements had been converted into minus, right? So the second claim is to store the last index of the group. Store last index of group, right? Now let's talk about few more things before we jump into the solution, final solution. Let's say if you had minus minus, right, and then a plus plus, then a minus, then a plus, right? So what would you do? You would say, okay beast, let's do one thing. Let's first, you will, when you will traverse, you will take CO bunch of positive numbers, take the last positive number, right? So you will pick this element, and what would this make? This will make minus to plus plus minus 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 plus, right? Okay, then you go on traversing, you get a plus, you will say, okay, this plus convert all the left elements, and this will be minus minus plus plus minus, oh sorry, plus minus, right? And you are over of now. Then you will again traverse on this element to store the last index, right? Now my third claim comes into the picture. You will say, why third claim, right? Why is even there a third claim, or what's the need of it, right? So let's try to understand that as well. Let's say you had a bunch of this minus and this minus. Now be a bit more focused on the statements which I give. This positive number will definitely convert the previous negative number into a positive number. Yes or no? Let's say this index is x, then the x minus 1th index, if it was minus, then that x minus 1th index will definitely be converted into a positive number. So this positive number converts this negative number to a positive number, right? But do you have any guarantee that this positive number will surely convert this negative number into a positive number? No, right? Because see, this positive number came earlier, and this positive number somehow changed it into a positive. Now when this positive number hasn't time to impact on the previous left element or the left elements, then this would convert it back into negative numbers. So you don't have a guarantee that when you have a positive number, let's say you had a positive number at this place, this positive number will make this number as negative. You don't have a guarantee at that, right? But the thing which you have a guarantee is that if you traverse from the last element, now let's say this claim is very like you would say wow, that was like wow moment, right? So you will see this positive number will surely convert this number into a positive number, right? Now this positive number, right, on my left, if there are any number of positive plus and plus or minus, right, that I'm sure that if there is a plus, see, if there is a plus, then I for sure know that this plus will convert this into a positive number, right? This plus will convert this into positive number, right? And again, if I got a negative number at this point, let's change the color. If I got a positive number at the negative number at this place which was converted, then I'm sure that this number will convert it into a negative back, right? So my third claim is if we are storing the indices, right, storing the indices of minus, after minus plus you will first store plus index, then you will storing the negative index. But how will you store the negative index? The negative index should be stored from the end of the array. So how will you store from the end of the array? That is simply reverse the array, right? You like, let's say for initially when you go from this place, right, you will say okay, a bunch of negative numbers, let's pick this last element, right? You store the index, let's say the index was 2, right? Then you move again 3 4 5. Oh, negative number, a bunch of a single number alone is also a bunch of negative number, right? So okay, 5, put that into our answer. So 2 5, right? So these are the stack or the array of numbers which are negative numbers. Now what you will do, you will simply reverse it. So first we need to traverse on 5, then we will traverse on 2, right? Because traversing on first on 5 guarantees me that okay, the next element which I will traverse will definitely be a negative number, positive number, right? So we can traverse on this at the very next time. Let's take a test case and implement this, right? -1 -2 -3 -5 4, right? -1 -2 3 -5 4, 3 -5 and 4, right? So my first thing is, you tell me, right, if you are watching till this point, you tell me what is the first thing which we need to do. Store all the positive numbers, right? So let's mark the index 1 2 3 4 and 5, right? Let's take a different color. All right, so you will say store all the positive numbers. See, so we'll first store 3 and then we will store 5, right? Let's do a dry run as well, how the array would be converted. So the first dry run could convert the array into 1 2 -3 -5 and 4, and the second 5 would convert it into -1 -2 3 5 and -4. Okay, then my second claim was store all the negative numbers. Store, let's say, a bunch of negative numbers, the indices. So you will traverse on this. Oh, I got an index. Let's store the bunch. This is a bunch, right? The last element's bunch, not a bunch. This is the last element of the bunch, right? So this index will be stored. So I will store 2. Again, traverse. Oh, a bunch of numbers. -5, store 4. Now you see, now you will say, okay, we will traverse first on 4 because we will reverse the array. So 3 5, and then we reverse the array for the, we can store a different vector, and in that we will be storing 4 and 2, 2 and 4, and we will reverse that, right? So we'll say 4 and 2, you should traverse on 4 first. See, what would have happened if you have traversed on 2 first? Let's see that as well, right? So if you would have traversed on 2, this would have been already a negative number. See, this is a random case and we came up with a thought that oh, this can't be done. But if you would have traversed on 4 first, see, it is a positive number. Why it is a positive number? Because after this -5 there was guaranteed a positive number, and that positive number made sure the previous negative number was definitely a positive number. See how much wow moment it is, right? So we can call it a wow moment, that when I got this hint while doing a few dry runs, I was like wow, right? So this is definitely a wow moment, right? So you can now convert this 5 and you will see this converts into a +1, +2, -3, -5 and -4. Now you look, this -2 has converted into a +2, right? Now what you can do, you can simply traverse on this +2 and convert all the elements to its left to a minus, right? And this is it. This is our great solution for the problem, right? So three things we have done, right? Three things we have not done, many things. Let's quickly revise it, right? So that you can code it up, right? So first, store the positive indices, right? Bunch of positive index, bunch of indices, the last element, right? The last element of the bunch, right? Every time you will be taking last index. So store the second step is store the negative elements bunch last index, right? You are not storing all the indices, right? You just need to store the single element, right? Why? So I don't think there is a doubt. Let's say you had 10, 20, 30. You can't store all the positive numbers, right? Why? Because this 30, you just need to make sure this 30 works and 30 becomes 20 minus 20 and 10, right? If you would have kept, I will take make my 10 to -10, then 20 to -20, and this becomes positive, then 30 to -30 and this becomes positive and -10. See, some numbers are positive, right? This is not the negative sum. So why we are storing a single element, that is perfectly, I guess that is for sure for you, right? So now let's quickly look at the code. The code which I wrote is a bit clumsy, pardon me for that, right? So what we did is, first we took the input, right? After that, if my array is greater than 0, so while my array is greater than 0 and I am less than n, I will simply store do I plus plus just to get the last element of the bunch, right? If I reach the last element, then I need to push back I minus 1, because the last element, if it's positive, then you definitely need to push that element, right? Else, if you have not reached the last element, simply push I minus 1, right? And do I minus minus, because you would be standing on the negative index, so you don't want to push that element first, right? First we are pushing all the positive numbers, then you can implement it in your way, but the logic should be clear, right? Then we are creating another vector called answer2, and in this I am traversing on a whole array and storing the negative index, right? If array is less than 0, we will traverse on the whole array and store the index, right? If we got a positive element, we will break out, right? And after breaking out, we will put that element into our index, right? And then what I did, I reversed the answer 2, right? And did see out answer size. What they said, the problem statement said that print the size of the array or the number of operations which is required, and after that you will simply print answer 1 first, then you will print answer 2, and that is it. So I hope the problem statement was clear to you. So the time complexity is big of n, the space complexity is big of n in n plus n, which is 2n, which is ultimately big of n, right? And this will pass the test cases, right? So I hope the problem statement was clear, the solution was clear to you. If yes, please do like, please do subscribe and comment. And we have a Discord channel, do join it. We have amazing, we will be doing amazing stuff there. Thanks for watching. Please do subscribe as well. Thanks.